Join us as we explore recognition and major brand transgressions like Boeing and VW.
That paper gets recognized in some award function, which is, I have never got a major research award for a research paper, but some of my colleagues, my friends have. And I always wonder, how did they get this award? It's so cool to get this award. I really respect them for that. So that's the nature of the recognition sometimes they get. Once in a while, your paper may not get recognized immediately, but it becomes a major theory later in life. Yeah. Michael Porter's theory of comparative strategy. Michael Porter at Harvard took 6 years to finish his PhD, is what I understand. And his comparative strategy theory is today taught at almost every half-decent business school. This happened like 40 years back, 40, 50 years back. So at that point in time, it wasn't kind of an award-winning dissertation as far as I know, but he's become synonymous with comparative strategy, in my understanding. And if Michael is listening, my apologies if I'm misrepresenting your work. But so the recognition might come years later, So Mozart was not recognized during his lifetime. He was recognized in the court of his kingdom, but he was not recognized globally. He was recognized centuries later. Sometimes that's how research works.
So there's, I think it's called the Nobel Prize for Physics, right? A big prize. Is there something equivalent to that for the marketing?
No. There is a Nobel Prize for economics. That is the closest business-related field. Okay. But there is no Nobel Prize for economics. There's no Nobel Prize for psychology.
Okay.
No.
So what is a transgression?
Okay. This is coming to the something that I have published recently. Thank you for asking. So we talk about brand transgressions, Jason. Let me give you an example, then I'll define it formally. So the Boeing company is going through some really turbulent weather, right? I'm sorry to use that pun.
I don't mean to laugh, but yeah, they're going through some stuff right now.
And we love that corporation, not just because they are in our backyard and we are in their backyard, but because it runs the economy, the world economy, the company, transportation, military, so many things are rested on the company's activities. So when Boeing's first 737 MAX crashed in 2018, I don't know about many people thought it was probably an aberration, once in a while flights crash. Then another crash occurred in October 2019. Same plane, same model, 737 MAX. That is when the scrutiny started. And over the last 5 years, what we understand is that it has become pretty clear that the contribution to those crashes probably lay in Boeing's internal production and their overall corporate strategy. That's what we understand. So a transgression, this is an example, just to give you a sliver. A transgression is defined as a brand violating an implicit or explicit expectation from one or more of its stakeholders. So in the case of Boeing, the expectation was that their planes don't crash. When they do, maybe one off, but when two crash, then what is the company doing about it? So one thing is a transgression. Another transgression happened again in 2019 when Starbucks, one of their Philadelphia outlets, there were two black customers who were young customers in their 20s. They were sitting and a barista asked them multiple times, what would you like to have? And they said, we are waiting for an associate. And the barista, after some time, called the cops on them.
I remember that.
You remember that?
I remember that, yeah.
And they were in prison for a few hours.
Definitely a bad look.
Yeah. They were in prison for a few hours. And that is a major transgression because you are, all kinds of possibilities emerge in terms of why the barista did what the barista did. Then there is the famous case of Volkswagen emissions cheating scandal.
Yeah, I was asking about that later on, yeah.
That was in Germany, but it had global implications, right? And then there was the quote-unquote transgression in China when Dolce and Gabbana, the famous Italian brand, they released some ads which were perceived by the Chinese people and those who saw them the world over as sexist, misogynistic. So that's what a transgression tends to be, where a company engages or either knowingly or unknowingly in some activity which creates a perception that it has violated some norms of behavior. And that's one. The second thing is the transgression should have caused some pain or hurt. If it didn't cause a pain or hurt, many people won't even bother about it because it didn't matter to them, right? But if it causes pain or hurt, then it becomes a serious issue that the company has to address. So the second part of that's the answer to your question. What is a transgression?
So transgression is a transgression from the point of view of the company, the employee, the public in general.
Other stakeholders, the regulators, government, the shareholders, anybody could be impacted by the transgression. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the VW one, right? Because I remember that
Okay.
recently.
Okay.
I was doing research for the interview,
Mhm.
and I thought about VW, and it happened to be in your book too, right?
Yeah.
I remember we were like, VW did what? Because you would think that that'd be the last company to do it, right? You're a German-based company, known by safety engineering. Like, why would you do that for?
Yeah.
And they tried to hide it for a little bit too, didn't they?
They hid it for quite a long time until they couldn't hide it anymore.
Yeah.
So this is what we understand, how the case unraveled. Internally, we understand that Volkswagen was under pressure, either of its own making or because of competitive reasons, to increase their sales in the United States of America. And US has very strict emission standards for automobiles.
So off subject,
Mhm.
I was stationed in Germany, like I told